open our meeting. Tamika's with us, right? Oh, God. Thank you, Tamika.
Yep, I'm here.
My guardian angel is here. So, Tamika, we opened our meeting at 5 o'clock. Now I'd like to go into an executive session to review and accept and release the appropriate minutes. So,
So you would have to make a motion to adjourn to executive session for reason number 10 to return to open session.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Oh,
are you good with that, Tamika?
yep, that's fine.
Okay, so we are now in executive session. The meeting is now open.
At 5:06.
Okay,
So-
while we're at it, thank you, Tamika.
Are
No problem.
Lyndon and Leah still in the waiting? Are they waiting to come back in?
Nope, I haven't seen their names pop up yet, but as soon as they do, I'll let them back in.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want to do the minutes for November 24th now?
Yes,
And I'll make the motion to approve them.
I'll second.
any discussion?
Yes. I cannot make the motion and second.
You didn't second. Michelle seconded
I
it.
seconded.
Okay, well, on here, what I have copied is my name is on twice.
Oh, help us.
Which part, Dick?
It says the motion to approve the minutes for November 4th.
Oh, I
Motion made
see
by
that.
Dick Williams and seconded by
Yeah.
Dick Williams.
I see
You're
it.
just that popular, Dick.
No, I don't want to be that popular.
I'll have to go back and see if I can find the recording to see who seconded, because I'm sure nobody remembers from back then.
I'd like to think it was Michelle myself.
It probably was, but I can try to find the recording and find out.
Very good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good. Well, let me just ask the board this. Let's just assume for the moment that she can't find that. We all agree that someone seconded the motion, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
So Tamika, I mean, could we say seconded by the board or something?
Well, what you could do is you could just approve the minutes with an amendment, and then that will allow me to fix that. And then once it's fixed, I can get them posted.
So
And
by amendment,
I'm confident that I can find the
Okay.
recording.
Yeah.
perfect. Okay,
I'll make that amendment.
okay, we're good.
So-
So
So
motion
we're
was
gonna
made.
second it as amended, right?
Correct.
Is that what we have to do? Yeah.
Correct, yes.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Williams, aye.
Steiner, aye.
Bessie, I.
Narwhal, aye.
Van Reet, aye.
Sullivan, aye. Okay, good show. And I see Leah is back, and I guess we're waiting and hoping that Lyndon
Lyndon.
returns. So let's proceed, and we'll try to, I may jump around a little bit here, again, because I would like for Jim to be here for what I perceive as the most, the crucial part of the meeting. So if you don't mind, if we take things out of order, is that okay?
Sure.
Everybody okay with that? Okay. So let's go to item 3, establishment of financial accounts for Harbor Classic Homes. This is really just a housekeeping issue. When we receive money from Harbor Classic Homes for whatever applications, we have not had a way, the RDIC has not had a way to take that money, hold it in an account, and then spend it appropriately. So for instance, we collected $2,500 on the conceptual plan. I think that's the number, isn't it, Dave?
Yes, the concept plan application fee was $2,500.
Right. So we collected $2,500 in fees, and as a result of that concept plan, we had expenses such as advertising, some legal fees, any of those things associated with the project. The RDIC has never had a way to spend those because we've never had a reason to. So we get together with the town accountant, and he has now established, doesn't matter, they're called 53G accounts. So what happens is, I'm going to explain it almost like an escrow account. This money goes into a Harbor Classic Home account that's specifically earmarked for them. We then pay the bills that are related to Harbor Classic Homes out of that account. We have to keep an accounting of those. In the end, if there's any money left, we have to give it back. We have to pay interest and all those kinds of things. So not really all that important. I just thought the board would like to know that that was done. Any
Through the-
questions?
Yes, Chair. Does Dave get some of his income out of that for, looking at all this stuff?
No,
Doesn't. Why not?
because he's a full-time employee and he's not considered.
He's paid by planning board and town, so
So does he,
yes,
he's
multi.
paid for by planning board?
Planning board has a certain percentage that they donate towards it, and then the town does. So therefore, I think some of it should come out of this when he looks at stuff, to review.
Okay.
Think about it, please.
No,
That's
I did
all.
not realize the planning board subsidized his salary.
Yep.
Hang on, I'm just making myself a note here.
I think Mike, it'd be best to talk to Ron about that.
Yeah, that's, yes.
I'd say it's best to talk to Norm, not Ron.
I'll figure it out, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing it to my attention. Again, I don't see Jimmy here yet. I also don't see Lyndon back. Master plan update. I think, Tim, you asked to have that added to the agenda.
Yeah, I just wanted to get an update, but before we go on, Mike, the 53G is just for expenses. When Harbor Classic Homes gives us 1.3 million, does that go into that account?
No,
Okay, this is just like the planning board has a revolving fund to pay out all the
exactly-
stuff.
it's
Perfect, thank you, sir. I just wanted to clarify that.
exactly the same thing.
Okay, I just wanted to get, this is literally a couple minutes. The masters or this Rutland steering committee, master steering plan steering committee has been working to come up with a website, and Michelle, I think no, I'm sorry, I got mixed up. It's rutlandmasterplan.com. So you can go onto that website and be able to see what we're putting together. It has links on that for Facebook, Twitter, and there's one other one, and I apologize, I don't remember the other one. LinkedIn, or I'm sorry, Twitter, Facebook, one of the other that the kids use, and
I
I
was
can't.
just gonna say, Tim, ask one of your kids, they'll tell you.
I don't have any. That's the problem. I have to ask my nieces. It's the red one where they. It's not the Twitter.
Instagram.
Thank you, Tamika. She. Those three also have got links to where you can get information. The main one, the Rutland masterplan.com is the main website if you want to go and get information. They're starting to, CMRPC is going to put together a survey, get that out to the town. We're starting to make some headway. So that's sort of the quick update. We've only had 2 meetings. So if anybody's got any questions, I just encourage everyone to go take a look at that, keep up to date. Where we at, there's only a couple items that we're going to be covering. Then hopefully more grants will come out that will be able to enhance that.
Okay, great.
That's pretty much it. Dick, you're on the master plan steering, correct?
Negative.
I thought I'm having been a long day of touring gas sites in Boston.
And
So-
Tim, I would just jump in and add, if anybody has any particular questions, they can always feel free to contact the planning office, which is working with the Regional Planning Commission as the project managers of this effort.
That's a good point. Dave's our point man for the committee. So he's a de facto member of the committee, so. So that's pretty much it. If anybody has any questions, I can answer them. Probably towards the summer, I can definitely give a bigger update of what we've accomplished and where we're gonna go.
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay, if you just bear with me 1 second. I was gonna see if I could find out how far out Jim Susi is so I can continue to plan around him, if you don't mind.
Lyndon is joining us now.
Who is?
Lyndon.
Lyndon.
Oh, good.
And then Mike, I think,
Hey, Jim.
could we
Mike
talk,
Sullivan. Any idea how far away you are? Okay, thanks. Bye-bye. All right, Jim Susi's sounded like he was trying to stuff something down his throat while I was talking to him. So he said, give me 2 minutes and he'll be back.
could we maybe talk about the tree grinding? Is that
Sure.
something that's, okay.
Go ahead, Michelle, lead on. You're doing a good job.
No, I'm just trying to find something that maybe
Yep.
won't be a big deal if he misses it.
All right, this is something that Dick specifically asked we add to the agenda. We've talked kind of around it for the better part of a year or so. So Dick, why don't you march on?
Well, I know that the DPW would like to start utilizing some of the front area, and I can't remember what the lot now is, it C or B, whatever it is.
That's B.
Thank you. And I would like to get it ground down. I mean, really open it up, make it look nice, but I want to do it before spring sets in. And I have one other thing. If we're going to allow Classic Homes to expand, I think it'd be something we might be able to do is to have Mr. Davis take a look at the trees, cut down some of the trees to pay for the grinding. And but I would like to get the grinding done. So help me, I want to open up the front, and I just feel that if we want to have fields and things like that, make it look nice. I just want to get it ground. I really do. I wanted to make it look just like right by Mozio's on that side.
Is there a bunch of dead stuff there, Dick, that needs to just get out of the way?
Only stuff that's going to be dead is stuff that I pushed up when I was brush hogging about 3 or 4 years ago. I got some big piles up near Tom Rushala's house in the back,
Mm-hmm.
along some long piles up there.
Okay.
But I mean, if honest to Pete, I don't know how many times you people have been walking around in there or been up in the back by Mr. Rushala. There's a lot of area up there, and I think once it's opened up and you take a look at it, it'll blow your mind.
There is a lot up there.
Yes. Yeah, and I just feel that, you know, if we're going to allow them to expand or do something like that, I would like to have this thing done as soon as possible.
Dick, I got a question for you on the grindings. Is that something the town can do? I mean, we've got that massive
That's such
grinder.
a small machine, for crying out loud. You know, he says he can do it, but it's a small machine. It's gonna take somebody forever, and I don't want to tie up the town doing this when they should be doing, you know, mowing the sides of the road and everything else.
Okay.
They got enough to do. Just, you know, grant you, once it's mowed, it'd be great for the town. They can keep it up a lot faster than what they can mow,
Okay.
grind it.
Can I just add something to that? I spoke with the DPW superintendent about this. And he says that they have a new piece of equipment that could do some of that work, but that basically is limited to, and I must confess, I don't have the exact number in front of me, but I think he said it could handle a a sapling up to 4 inches in diameter. Don't hold me to that, but something like that. Dick, you know better than anybody else. I've looked at it. There is a lot of stuff in there that's much, much bigger than that.
Correct.
And so it's going to require, if we had the town do it, it's, first of all, it's going to take their resources, which, you know, if he's got them, I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about beating the heck out of his new machine. But I'm also then concerned about, we get a job that, no reflection of them, is done halfway because he doesn't have the equipment to be able to do it properly.
Correct.
Yeah,
Michelle?
you need the grinder mulcher thing there that was it Davis has? Is that what you're talking about, Dick?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, that thing, he does total sites for me. He can take a tree up to like 10, 12 inches or whatever and just make it to mulch. Works awesome.
Oh, welcome, Jim.
Hi, how are you? I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, that is what we're talking about, Jim, and it's basically the same machine that we use, or he used over on the
Yep,
Zone B, the Mosio property.
correct. Yeah, yeah. I've hired him many times. It works. It's unbelievable. It's quite a thing to watch.
Michelle?
So I don't disagree that it would look nice, but I don't think that now is the time to do that. Like we've got other things cooking, and the town, like, I don't know that Joe can keep up with it after the fact. So even if we clear it, there's no mechanism in place to make sure that it stays upkept. And then we end up with it just kind of overgrowing again or whatever. I think we should just leave it until we either sell it, or the town can make a commitment that if we do the stump grinding or whatever we're doing, the tree grinding, that they can keep up with the mowing. Because I know, Dick, it becomes an issue every year. You do it like 3 or 4 times a year, but I think it always ends up being a little bit of an issue. And I just want to make sure that if we do it, that there's a mechanism in place that we can continue to keep it up and not just let it overgrow again.
Well, I feel that it takes time for it to start to rot, and I feel that in order to have it, to get to that point, it needs to start as soon as possible. And I look at it, and it isn't that bad once it's ground. It doesn't take that much energy for a piece of equipment to keep it mowed. You don't need a huge piece of equipment. And I'm just thinking that we have an opportunity. If Haber is going to cut down trees or expand over on the other side, I think the town of Rutland should harvest those trees. And
All right, hold on, Dick. Let's stay on this side of the pond for the moment.
well, I'm just trying to one pay for the other,
Oh, I understand. Okay, now I got your point. Yep.
because Mr. Davis does both. So I don't know.
Well,
It just-
the money that we have in our account right now was, and I'm looking for the warrant article that I looked up, and I can't put my hands on it right now, was basically approved for us to use to improve the site. I can't remember exactly what it said, but basically to maintain the site and improve the opportunity for sale. So I should have that, and I'm reluctant to call a vote on this without everybody hearing what that article is and agreeing that what we're doing is to the letter of what the raise and appropriation of the money was. So let's just take a straw vote at this moment. And Michelle, I understand what you're saying about maintaining it later. When I spoke with the DPW superintendent, I asked him if the site was clear, could he then on an annual basis mow it and keep it that way? And he said he could. The second thing that he pointed out to me is there is incentives that the town gets from DCR, I'm guessing, or maybe it's the watershed, yeah, I guess it's DCR, where if he does this kind of, if this kind of work is done around a pond, he gets additional incentive when it comes to water usage of Muskapog Pond. So that's a separate issue, but so I guess unless anybody else has any other comments, I don't want to get too hung up here because I don't think we can vote on this until, I would rather not vote on it until we can have the actual article that was approved at the town meeting, make sure everybody's comfortable that we're using the money as approved by the townspeople. So just a straw vote, who agrees or disagrees with clearing the trees? Well, excuse me, selectively cutting the trees.
I'll go first. I think Dick's got a good idea, and I think part of it too is proactive, and I'd be for it.
Okay, I would too. Jim?
I'm also for it.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to get the property opened up, and it just helps with the sales.
Bonnie?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, and Michelle?
I have a question. I have a follow-up question then. Are you talking about the clearing, like selectively cutting trees that we can get money for?
No.
That's a separate, that was separate.
No, this is just selectively cutting trees that would,
Basically
Yeah.
leaving, I'm just gonna give you my thought. Any tree that's, pick a number, 12 inches in diameter or bigger stays so that it can be a beautification and a shade tree, and hopefully someday there's picnic tables down there and canoes and paddle boats that people can use. Now, whether that ever happens, who knows? But all I'm saying is leave the big trees, take down the brush and all of the undergrowth. Fair enough, Dick? Is that?
That's good enough. As long as the tree is in good, healthy shape. You don't want a big 24-inch tree and it's rotted halfway
Right,
up it.
of course. Okay, I think we have a general idea of the board's position. Tamika, could you just make a note and add this to our next agenda? And I will, and between you and I, we can get the warrant article that was approved, and I'd be much more comfortable if everybody knew exactly what the article was, how it was written, and what the intention of the money was for before we vote on it.
Sure thing, I'll make a note of it.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Dick. Okay, next order of business. Let's jump to solar project because it'll be pretty short and sweet. God, I kind of lost track of days now, but it was, I don't know if it was last Friday or the Friday before. Doesn't matter. Very recently, we had a meeting with the solar company where, for all intents and purposes, the solar project is dead. They're asking us to perhaps not release the contract yet, just in case it returns in the next 6 months, so that we don't have to go through the RFP process again. I was very upfront with them and I said, look, we've got a major senior housing project going on. The bird in the hand's better than the one in the bush. What we're going to do is proceed with what's best for the town as it relates to the senior housing. It's going to infringe on the property that you were going to use. When we're done with whatever that design is, we'll give it to you. And if it's still worth you hanging around for some period of time, perhaps we'll do it. So they were going to have their attorney draw up a legal document that we could have our attorney look at to see whether there was a way to do that. So that's kind of where that stands. But for all intents and purposes, at least in the foreseeable future, all solar projects are dead. Any questions?
Mike,
Yep.
before we get into past the conceptual plan with Harbor, should we have that in place?
What?
That legal document just to cover us?
Yes, I'm working on that right now.
Okay, great, thanks.
In fact, I'll make myself a note to check again.
Mike, I have a question on that. Do
Who's
they
talking to me?
know roughly how long?
Oh, sorry, Jim.
Fran.
Franz.
Do you know
Ask the
what-
question again, Franz. I was distracted.
I with what Tim just said and what you've been talking about, do we know how, or do you have any idea roughly how long before we get that document or legal clarification.
You want an honest answer? No, but I will make sure it happens very quickly. Or I'll just tell them, you either get, for instance, get me the document by Monday or all bets are off.
Okay, that's all. Yeah, that's a good answer.
Hang on one second while I make myself a note here. Okay, so let's now go to Harbor Classic Homes. So I know some of you attended the Hpdd Review Board meeting last night. As a result of the very short notice of what really amounted to 3 days, I think, from when solar pulled out to when Harbor Classic Homes came in with the second meeting on their concept plan. There were so many things up in the air. It was difficult, to really kind of proceed with the concept plan. Is there anyone here from Harbor Classic Homes? Okay, I guess not. So I gave my personal opinion many times last night. It's my position that since solar was a hindrance to them initially and was impinging upon their overall project from the standpoint of Zone A, and that's why they needed Zone C. Now that has gone away, it's my strong opinion that they should be restructuring or reconfiguring their project all on Zone A and leave Zone C untouched for, I'll give you 3 or 4 very quick reasons. Bill's Garage expressed a major concern about, the way he runs his business, and is he going to get a lot of complaining from his neighbors, his new neighbors, about how he's been running his business for 50 years. 2 abutters who came and had concerns about, what was going to happen over the fence from them. The other important reason to me is they showed a means of egress out of the middle of the property between Mosio's and Rutland Heights Way, which I don't know whether it's legal or not. I think, back in my planning board days, I don't really remember, but I think there was a 300-foot distance that had to be between roadways. I don't know whether there is that there or not, but if there is, it's concerning to me with Highland Park there and Inwood Road and Bill's Garage and Rutland Heights Way. I just don't think that's a good thing to do. So that takes all of that away and moves everything up in one place. So that was my very strong opinion. Now, just before we go too far, I made a commitment to them last night that I would attempt to get consensus of this board tonight on how they should proceed so that they can continue to move forward with their conceptual plan. And they have I don't remember the date, but perhaps Michelle.
31st.
March 31st, Mike.
Okay, so March 31st, they have their next conceptual meeting, and I'd like to give them, I hope to give them an answer tomorrow morning saying, look, this is what our board is asking you to do. Structure yourself around that. So with that, I'll shut up and listen to everybody else.
What are you saying? Take the part of the solar land and putting all the units up in that, more stuff up in that area?
Yes. So, for all intents and purposes, solar is gone. So let them, what we told them before was they couldn't cross the hospital roadway.
Yeah.
Now we're saying that road, that hindrance is no longer there. You can build on the roadway, across the roadway, whatever it is.
Well, that would free up Bill's Garage area, that parcel of land to also, for a business or something someday too,
Exactly.
instead of housing.
That to me is the most important reason for the town, from the town standpoint, to do this.
Yep.
So, yeah, Mike, in fairness to the people that weren't at the HPDD meeting last night, can we show them the amended plan for the top?
I can't. I don't know whether anybody else can.
And Michelle, let me see if I can pull it up. Hold on one sec.
Okay, thank you.
Well, while Tamika's doing that, let me also tell you that So I gave them my opinion of that. As soon as solar pulled out, I let them know they had pulled out, and I told them that we were going to discuss this as soon as we could, and it took this long to get the meeting scheduled. So they came back with a plan that not only still shows Zone C, which is the Bill's Garage property, having 11 buildings on it, but they also expanded the number up in Zone A, which is the top of the hill, from some number, 40-something buildings to another.
It was 60 buildings now.
Yes.
Right.
So
And
that's
each
120
building has
units.
2 units, like
Yeah,
they're
so
duplexes, right? So
60
each building has
buildings.
2 units.
Guys,
Right.
did it work? Can you
120
see it?
units on
Yes,
Zone
yes,
A.
Tamika, thank you.
Okay, good.
But then you need to scroll, like, can you see to scroll down or up?
Yeah, you need
Because
to go to
you're showing us the
2.
blank map. Yep, keep going.
There we
There
Yeah,
go.
a
it
little
is.
bit more.
That's it.
You're good. Yeah, thank you. So
So,
this,
sorry, Michelle. Let me just finish my thought quickly. So
Go ahead.
I got a call from Laurel today, and she asked me then to call Peter Campobasso, their attorney, to discuss this. They asked my opinion. I gave them my personal opinion that I thought what they were doing here was contrary to what I think well, certainly what I think, and what I think the board is going to ask for, and that is eliminate Zone C and
From all up there, yeah.
show 88 units up on Zone A as part of their concept plan, so they continue to move forward. And if, as they develop the concept plan, they determine that they can build whatever, pick a number, 95 or 100 units, while they're between concept and definitive, they can come back and say, hey, you know what, we'd like to do this. Can we do this? And then that's a decision that we would have to make. But the important thing here is to keep the concept plan moving. And that's why I told them I thought the best way to do that would be to show the 88 units, which is what everybody is expecting. Okay, go ahead, Michelle, sorry.
Mike, excuse me for interrupting. I just want to let you know, Attorney Campobasso just joined the meeting.
Oh, terrific. So Michelle, did you have anything?
yes, so I just wanted to point out that the area at the top of the hill now has 60 units, which would be 120, right? Like
Oh, it's 60 buildings, 120.
60 buildings, 120 units.
All right, but
That's correct.
can I,
And so it would still allow for a little bit more than the 88 original units. And one of the things that they pointed out, which I understand, was that it kind of gives them a little bit of a buffer, because if they find that there are spots when they physically get out there that they might not be able to build on, they might have from the concept to the actual, they might not be able to put all the buildings that they want on there, was one of the things they said. But I think that this certainly looks like they could at least get the 88 baseline in there.
can I just interject here?
Sure.
I don't want to get hung up on the total number of units right for this discussion. Our objective here should be, do we agree that we don't want them building anything on Zone C? They can build whatever they want on Zone A, and we'll have to, whatever they want means something. That's what our discussion needs to focus on, so that we can go back to them and say, Zone C's out, come back to us with a plan showing the 88 units on Zone A, and then if that number ultimately wants, they would like to try to change it from 88 to something different, that's another separate discussion. But in order to keep their concept plan moving, we need to tell them, is Zone C a viable part of this project?
It's the only part of the project.
It's what?
To me, should be the only part of the project. Everything should be up there.
No, that's Zone A. Okay, all right, fine.
Oh, Zone A, excuse me, yeah.
Fine,
And
look,
leave Zone C alone.
Okay, so Dick, you agree that they should only use the top of the hill?
Yes, I do. I have one thing, Jim,
Yeah,
I got a question for you. You see where the 400 mark is for the, the water supply barrier, or whatever, protection zone?
Is that the red line? Yep.
Yes. Now, can't you build over that, but you only can, like half of the,
You can
Area.
build, you can build in the 400. You can't build in the 0 to 200.
all right, so they can.
You have
they
to
can-
file with the DCR and you have to still let them know what you're doing, but usually they allow you to build in the 400.
Thank you. And Mike, so that small narrow basin could be moved and the flagpole could be made into an honorable memorial, and they could put more houses there. And it'll be, if you look at the contours, it'll fit.
Yeah,
nice.
walkouts. Yep.
Well, again, I want to say it again.
I know it.
We all agree that the top of the hill can handle the 88 units that they originally proposed.
Correct.
So, do we agree that they should move off of Zone C and only use Zone A? And don't worry about how many units. I'm trying to get agreement on that they should only be on Zone A.
Yes, I agree with that. I like that.
Dick, you do
Dick
too?
Williams agrees.
Franz?
Well, this is my point. If we're not going to allow them on Zone C, I mean, and you say don't get stuck on numbers. I think, and we should, in the sense that we should allow them to have more, like they're proposing 60, which is the 120 units instead of the 88 units. That's all. I'm not opposed of not going on C. It's just that if we allow them to build on A, I just think we should say now you can go with 60 buildings or even more. That's all. That's my point.
Okay, so, okay, so.
And I know you're trying to say, excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt. I know you're just saying concept, but I also want to make the point that if we're going to stop them from building or saying, no, don't use Zone C, I just think we should also say, if we're going to do all of A, they're allowed to build more than 88 units. That's my point.
Well, okay, let me play devil's advocate with you, Franz.
All right.
So let's just say they paid 88, just bear with me, okay? They paid 88 cents for the parcel of land that they were originally going to build on. So they were paying a penny a piece for the units, correct? So now they're going to build, pick the number, 125. Sorry about that. They're going to build 125. So I'm
I
sorry.
thought that was my phone.
No, it's mine. So then would you suggest that, since they were paying a penny a piece for each piece of land before, should they then be now paying, rather than 88 cents and they're going to build 120, should they be paying $1.20? In other words, should we go back and renegotiate the sell price because they're building, their unit cost has dropped?
Yeah, Mike, that was going to be my point that I was going to make. You were going down the exact path. I don't have a problem with Zone A and C. It's just the price they paid, because the bottom line is the more units they put in, the more tax dollars we come into the town.
Absolutely.
So I'm not opposed to going to 126 units total by using Zone 1, or what they have Zone 1 and Zone 2. But what the point you make is the one I agree upon. If they're going to use what they call Lot 1 and Lot 2, there should be an additional price given to the RDIC for those additional units. That's my
Okay,
point.
but again, we're now kind of digressing again. I want to stay focused on, do we agree that they should build however many units ultimately come out of it, and that's going to be an evolution of things, only on Zone A? Because we all agree that they can build more units on Zone A right now than they can build as was originally configured when solar was involved on zone A and C. Before they could only build 88 because solar was
Totally.
now they can build 88 at least on that one parcel, which then frees up that land to the town to do something else with. And perhaps they can build more than that.
Mike, the other thing into the board last night, which I was kind of taken back, and I think, and I don't want to put with Dave and put words in Dave's mouth, but you guys were talking about, or the HPDD was talking about, or the proposing with the harbor, a community center, and his purpose was to increase so that he could afford to build that, as I understood him express that. So I understand that point, but where did that come up in the time period of that 3-foot easeway to last night? That, because that was kind of a surprise to me.
Let me just say this about that. That has nothing to do with the 3-foot easement.
No. What I'm saying is the time of the meeting of the HPDD on that to this one last night.
So
that was brought up.
That's correct. In one of the many discussions I've had with Laurel, I said to her, have you considered the fact that most other communities such as this have community centers or clubhouses, call them what you want.
Yeah.
And, if you were to go to, I know 2 people, my brother lives in one in Holden, and I've got a friend that lives in one just over the Holden Worcester line. Both of them have community centers that are used extensively by the members of the HOA. So I just asked her, had she considered that? And she said, no, in fact, we haven't. So then sometime, a week later or so, she got back to me and said, you know what, Mike, we've done some market research and it appears as though you're right. Everybody does have those. So we are going to consider doing that. I made it very clear to her again today. And if Attorney Campabassa was on as well, when I spoke with him today, I made it very clear to them that this has nothing to do with the town. This was just a suggestion by me that they might consider from a marketing standpoint. It was just a personal opinion, had nothing to do with the town. So does that answer your question, Franz?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
So whether they think they need to build more units to be able to afford that or not is a decision that's entirely up to them. I don't care whether they're building 88 or they're building 120. I still think my personal opinion is they should be considering it because, again, the 2 projects that I'm talking about are much less than 88 units, and they both have them and they're used extensively. So for whatever.
Okay, and this is a question to you and to the board members. So if we agree or we vote on the 88
No,
on Zone A,
no, just stop with the 88. Let's just agree we want them to stay on Zone A. Let them then come.
that's okay. Then my question is, all we're going to vote on initially is them to build on just Zone A.
Correct. That's what I committed to them last night that we would.
I understand that, but my point to that is
Yep.
if we're going to do that vote as a board, I want the board members to realize, or at least how I feel, is that they're allowed to build more. That they'll be able to build more if they want. And I know we were going to go in that penny, you gave me that. I understand that. But I also, if we vote to just A, I also want them to be able to, if they have the capability, they can put in more than the 88. I know you don't want to talk about 88, but that's what if we're going to go vote for Zone A, I want them to be able to have the opportunity to build more. That's my point.
Okay.
Yep.
Bottom line, we want them to be successful, and the more tax revenue we get, the more they can build, the more in the future the tax revenue is going to go down for the town of Rutland.
I agree.
They need to. We need them to be successful. We don't need them to not be successful.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more.
I agree with that.
I think that's the whole purpose of what we're doing here is to generate tax dollars. The question is, if we go from 88 to a different number, what other peripheral things do we need to discuss and agree on? And there are some things we have to discuss and agree on. So all I want to do tonight is say to them, Zone A is where you're going. Come back to us with your 88 units. And then if they then come back and say, conceptually, here's our, excuse me, Michelle, just bear with me. I got you.
Yeah.
Here's our 88 units, and the Hpdd reviews that and agrees with it. And then they come back and say, you know what, because of this, that, and what you just said, Jim, you can build in the 400-foot zone. We can now pick the number, 10,000 of them. Well, then that's something we'll have to discuss with them. Okay, sorry, Michelle,
No, that's okay. So I would like
That's
to
okay.
point out a couple of things. Franz, I agree. Like last night, I think we did think that if they could build more in there, that would be okay, right? So and that's why I think Mike was saying, don't worry about the 88 number. I think 88 was the minimum. Like as long as they could put all 88 up there, that was the minimum requirement from their RFP. So that would work. But I understood from Attorney Campobasso last night, though, that they might have had other considerations for Lot A. I thought I heard him say that they might have other ideas for Lot A, not necessarily residential. So I want to leave that open a little bit, and I don't know if he wants to speak to it now, or I would say all residential up at the top, but if he had something on the bottom that was more like retail or some other type of building other than residential, I would certainly want to listen to what they had to say about that.
Michelle, that's a great idea. I'd like him to speak if he could.
That would be great if we had something else down there. Let's see what he has to say.
I'd love to hear him talk if he
Peter,
would.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but we talked about this today. You're more than welcome. Jump right in.
Yeah, I didn't want to interfere and sort of butt in, but my response and my thought would be this. In the initial stages and when the concept plan was being developed, we were primarily focused on residential units. We had some feedback from the town, but we never really had a public meeting per se where we got a lot of feedback. And based on the initial meeting in February and last night, obviously we're getting more and more and more. And we're hearing from all of yourselves that if there's a possibility for something else to go on the site, it might be more beneficial to the town. So we are definitely looking into other possibilities that would both be beneficial to the proposed development of the senior housing in sort of a separate use, but a complementary use. We haven't had a tremendous amount of time to throw some ideas out and get that process going, but we are working on it. And one of the things that I spoke to Mike about earlier today, and maybe that I would suggest to this board is if the strong sentiment is to have the development take place in Zone A, to keep Zone C some viable use for the town, fine, we can, proceed and try to live with that, but we're going to continue to look for different uses in that little area that might be complementary that they can do that would benefit both the town and their development. So yes, and if that possibility comes about where we have an idea that we think would work, we will definitely circulate that to you as soon as possible.
Thank you, Peter. I guess I'd just like to make one comment. So let me rephrase the question. Do we agree that the residential aspect of their project, in other words, the senior housing, should only go on Zone A?
Yes.
I agree.
I like that.
No, because if we do that, we've restricted Peter to only designing in zone A, non-residential. And within Rutland, our town center district and all that, we have the ability, or we give people the ability to have residential and commercial in the same building. So I really don't want to take that away from Peter's ability to design something.
Okay.
So
all right,
if I
Sorry.
could just interrupt, I'm sorry, Mike, but
No, go right ahead, Peter.
Tim, to your point, that's what I started to do today, was I was going through the bylaw and I was looking at the different uses that the town permitted in your business district, in your village district. I think your village district has two levels to it, or 2 tiers to it.
So is town center, yep.
And I could see the different type of uses that were allowed by right in a building that was either 2,500 square feet or a building that would be 5,000 square feet.
Yep.
So, yes, to your point, if we start to look at it that way, there might be some type of a mixed use that might be beneficial. Now, I know there are some concerns about maybe putting residences or residential units next to a functioning garage or a functioning business. There might be some concerns by some neighbors about building heights. Totally get it. And, you know, maybe it might make sense to move the majority of the residences off. But if we're going to give it a real hard look and try to come up with the best use or the best proposal, I'd rather leave all the options on the table and have some flexibility so that if they can somehow incorporate C into the plan, it just seems to make more sense.
That's
So,
what I was thinking, Peter.
thank you. I didn't mean to interrupt, Mike.
No, that's okay, Peter. Tamika,
Yes.
do you have to leave?
I can stay. I'll have to be able to keep the meeting open, so I will just have to go to FinCom late. No
Thank you.
problem.
Okay, thanks. So I guess I'm trying to figure out how we can move them forward with the opportunity to continue to work on their conceptual plan. And so perhaps I didn't word correctly what I said earlier. How would you feel if we said only you can only build your the only allowable place to build the senior housing is in zone A, but that does not preclude building other things there as well, whether it be whatever it is, you know, leave all those options open, whether it be a commercial building or whatever, if it, for some reason or other, it worked on that parcel. Crickets. Franz, go right ahead. You don't have to raise your hand.
All right, I like what Pete had to say, and Pete, please correct me if I'm wrong. You or Harbor still want to keep the option open, a C, for your design purposes to show us or the town what you're coming up with. And I have no problem with that. But I understand what Mike is saying, and I have no problem either with everything up in A. But as far as coming up with some type of an idea, I'm all for that. And I want to move it forward too. I don't want to keep delaying or let's try this or try that. I want to get this moving. So
And I think that makes sense. And if I may, I'm sorry, I just
No,
want
go
to
ahead.
no, go ahead.
interject. I think a lot of times, in my experience, activity brings activity. So it might make sense that, to Mike's point, and to Fran's point, we don't want to get so lost in the concept plan that we postpone activity, much longer than we'd like. I think as long as we can get a sense from this board. We'll keep the communication open between both this board and the HPDD to keep the concept plan going, with the notion that we're going to definitely look into some possible uses on parcel C that might be a better mix and give the town and the different boards a better sense of, just a better sense to feel good about the proposal, so that it's not just strictly a lot of residential houses if you wanted some other use in that area. So yes, if you give us some time, we'll definitely come up with some ideas, and we'll shoot them to Mike as soon as possible so he can communicate with everybody. It just makes it, it just gives them more options. And if they have more options, I'm convinced that the town will also have more options.
Yeah, Mike, that's my trouble right now. You know, the meeting that happened last night, a lot of great feedback. And then 24 hours later, we're going to make a decision that, in my mind, is painting Harbor into a corner. I think we should give them the time to come back with something to us. This is what I want to do. Because if we just make a statement saying you're only going to be up there, that's not what we originally started with them. And I'm not comfortable just all of a sudden moving everything up and saying, you know, that you can come up with something on, I call it lot 1, as opposed to initially that was where that lot 1 and lot 2 was where they were going to build. So I'd really like to see something on paper before we just point blank say you're on zone C and that's the end of it. That's my opinion.
Well, I think what I'm hearing is people would like to see the homes up on the hill generally, and then maybe use mixed use down near Maple Avenue. So I think the option should be up to Pete and see what they come up with.
Yeah, I agree, Bonnie. I want to see that though before we make a wholesale, because what if he looks at his design and they can't get a good mix? I mean, you've got the concept out there, but you've also got 22 units down on lot 1 still with the concept. So there's been no updated drawing since last night. And I think it's too quick of a decision to make a call without giving Harbor an opportunity to come up with an option. That's my opinion.
And also,
Go ahead,
if I
Dick.
may, also you got to think of what if you want a brand new drugstore or something like that, or complete building and not mixed use in that zone. So that's why I feel that we need an area, a small area for something like that. I don't want to close them out and not be able to put something in there. You're going to have how many people, and also a traffic? Just think of how many cars are going to be going up and out of there. You know, we got to think about that too.
I guess where I'm struggling with this is, since who was the one that did the count? Tim, was it you that counted? How many buildings, or maybe Peter, you know, how many buildings?
It was 60 buildings.
There was 60 buildings, 120 units in their
Yeah.
plan, and then
Okay,
on.
stop right there, Frank. Stop right there. So there was 60 buildings on zone A, up on the hill.
On the hill.
Okay. So originally there were how many buildings?
I know.
Let's just say it's 40.
Okay.
You know, I don't know what the number is, but it's something less than that. So down on zone C, there were 12 buildings, no, 11 buildings.
11 buildings, 22 units.
Right. So why is it not reasonable to assume that if you take those 11 buildings off of there and move them up to the top of the hill, since they increased that by whatever it is, 22 buildings as it is, why is it not reasonable to assume that they can't for sure put 11 buildings there?
Okay.
I don't think that that's the issue, Mike.
Yeah.
I don't think
No,
that's the issue. I think we're all in agreement that we would like the housing at the top. But we also heard Peter say that that they could have some other ideas for the lot at the bottom of the hill.
Okay, perfect. Let's stop right there. Do we all agree that the over 55 units should be on the top of the hill?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so we all agree to that. Perfect. That's all I've been trying to do is get to that point. Now, whatever HCH wants to come back to us with on what we call Zone C, you know, whatever it is, you know, from a drugstore to a post office to, I don't know, a McDonald's, whatever they come back to, we'll evaluate that, you know, as a part of the project, but it has to be kind of separately from what we've currently seen, because we're not really looking at the same project anymore. I guess, Peter, you need to kind of help us.
Yeah.
How do we keep the concept plan moving forward without, well, maybe Peter and Dave, excuse me, Dave, I apologize. How do we keep the existing concept plan moving forward with this, you know, shift in land use, which, by the way, I have discussed with our attorney and she says, we're okay there. We can do that. We can go into that land without any issues, the way the RFP was written. So how do we do that? And how do we proceed without affecting the concept plan? I don't want to start over with the concept plan. Neither do you. Peter or Dave?
Is that question to
Peter
Dave?
or Dave, anybody that'll answer it.
I think our intention, Mike, is to keep proceeding with the concept plan. And I think what you'll find is that we probably can go in phases. If the, I mean, from what I'm hearing, the strong sentiment would be to locate the senior housing units in Zone A. That's the preference. So I think you can anticipate the concept plan moving forward with trying to make the units on the top of the hill become more of a preliminary plan versus a concept plan, and keeping the lower half open right now so that we can come up with some different ideas to run by you. If it would work so that we could proceed in phases, where we would have a phase one to deal with Zone A, which would be predominantly the residential units, and leave open the zone areas, the Zone C area, Lot 1, as a phase two. We could proceed along those lines so that at least the concept plan for the residential units in Zone A is moving forward so that it can become a preliminary and we can move to site plan approval. And then if we have to catch up with Zone C, we can catch up with Zone C, because there, believe me, there will be plenty of work to do. And if we can spread it out a little bit, that usually helps. But I think that that's probably a workable way to do it and might give the town a little more comfort as well.
Perfect.
Mike, through
Yes.
you, I want to ask Peter a quick question. The phase thing I'm used to from being on the planning board, but does that phase two still allow for residential in Zone C if needed? I guess, because what I'm trying to do is I don't want to back you guys into a corner from a financial standpoint of trying to come up with a design
True.
when initially we had Zone A and C in your portfolio. So if you guys are comfortable, and that's what I haven't heard yet, with the upper area to do all your design, and then the lower area, okay, no 55 and over, then I'm agreeing with the board. But if it's going to financially impact your design and you're not sure yet, that's where I'm struggling to say wholeheartedly yes to no buildings in A. I have a hard time with that right now.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, because while we do have a concept plan, we don't really have like an idea of what the final design is going to be. So we're not quite there yet. And and having the ability to keep it fluid and keep our options open is what my preference is. It's what Harbor Classic's preference is. So I think, to answer your question, it probably makes sense to let us keep proceeding because I think as far as the RFP is concerned, based on my discussions with the town's attorney, we do have, flexibility to, jump between the two areas depending on what was proposed, as long as we live within what's within your HPDD bylaw and the underlying bylaw, we should be okay, and that won't pose a problem.
I
hope
guess
that
what I want to
answers-
ask, Mike, is there a compromise to do where, yes, phase one is predominantly 55 and older housing in the upper zone, but phase two is an optional design for residential down there if needed?
No, the only residential that can be up there at all is 55 and over.
Well, that's what I meant. I'm sorry, Michelle. The phase two is an optional 55 and older in down by the road in lot one, because my biggest problem is and this is where I'm gonna get into Bill or Dick mode. I've heard Mosio complain about there's gonna be houses there. That's an unarguable point for me, because there's been houses around that whole area for 40 years and the town hasn't had any complaints. So I'm not buying that argument. I really don't want to hear it, and I don't agree with it. Again, my opinion. So putting those houses next to there, I don't see that as an issue. So that's why I want to go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't disagree with you, Tim, about the neighbors. Like, you can't control what your neighbors put on their property, right? I don't disagree with you on that part of it. I just don't want to see so much housing there. Like, that's my concern.
Welcome to Rutland.
Especially where they can expand the housing up at the top. And if they can expand it to 88 units or more up at the top of the hill, I don't want to just see it be all housing. That's
Well,
my concern.
My issue right now is, from my perspective, knowing too much about the finances of the town, is that we need as much tax revenue as we can get. And 55 and older doesn't cost me any school money. And it's because it's not retirement, or elderly retirement. It's not a big drag on town services. So I think it's the bang for the buck. And honestly, if P can get 160 units in there, I'd say do it. That's more tax revenue. That's my opinion. Because we haven't had anything else. It's been 15 years. And I'm not saying there's no negative impact about the RDIC. I'm just saying we've had no takers in this town. Industrial, commercial, residential. Heck, the town hasn't even showed up. Chris made a good point last night. I had $100,000. I tried to get parks there and nobody wanted it. So at this point, to Mike's point, the bird's in the hand, baby. Let's take it and run.
All right, let's get back to the original question. Do we all agree that they should focus all of their senior housing on Zone A at this point?
If they can get it.
I'm not saying eliminate that they could never build in Zone C, but right now we want them to proceed with their plan showing all of their houses on Zone A.
Okay.
Because remember, we originally agreed to 88 units, and now we know for a fact that they can be at least whatever the number is, 120 units. So it can't be a financial hardship because they're getting an additional whatever the number is, 30 or 40 units.
I don't know the meeting.
But we did also ask for the addition of the clubhouse, right? Which would be an
No,
investment.
we're not asking for that. Take that right off the
No,
table.
okay,
That's,
okay.
if they want to do that, that's up to them.
okay.
I wish I never even brought that up.
No,
Well,
I'm glad you did.
It was talked about a lot last night. That's why.
Hey, Jim, do you do know the planning board's going to ask you for a clubhouse at your senior housing? You know that, right?
Well, I can tell you what, this is, you guys gotta remember, this is Rutland. It's not Shrewsbury. It's not Northborough, Westboro.
Yeah, I know. I'm
First
just giving
thing,
you a hard time.
first thing they ask is how much the condo fees are. It's the first thing out of everyone's mouth.
Yeah.
And everyone's on a budget, and you build a pool house or a a clubhouse, you're gonna heat it, you're gonna do all this stuff, your fees are gonna be $400 or $500 a month. I can just, that's up to them, but I don't think Rutland I don't think Rutland clientele is ready for that, but I might be wrong.
I agree with what you're saying with the concept of asking Peter to do that up in the upper area.
Okay.
I just don't want to take the option off the table. If he needs in like a phase 2 to add houses there, he can. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
I'm not saying he can't do anything on Zone C, but I mean, there's lots of things that have to be discussed since we're giving additional land in Zone A. There are all kinds of financial discussions that have to happen and everything else. I mean, so the question is, so that they can continue to move forward with their project, are we comfortable saying to them, continue on in Zone A?
Mike, I don't mean to
No, go right ahead.
interject here, but let me make a suggestion.
I
and
told you
maybe-
today you were going to end up running this meeting, so go right ahead.
I hope this helps, because what I would suggest we do is, if you feel that the RDIC needs to make some type of a motion or give direction to the HPDD, what you can say, I would suggest you say is, have us continue forward with the concept plan with the idea that we're going to focus in Zone A to locate the senior housing units and try to come up with some viable options in Zone C
I'm good.
that will complement the town, come up with
Sure.
some other uses. And it'll just keep open the fact that if we can come up with something great, if we can't, then there's still the possibility for residential units. This way here, we'll do it in those 2 steps, and it sort of takes some of the pressure off, and it keeps the options open, both from ourselves, HCH, and for the town.
That was a
I'm good with
terrific
that.
motion you just made.
That was excellent.
Second,
Okay, so moved.
Yeah. Let's vote on that.
Can I just,
So, yeah, Dave, go ahead.
so I think that the idea is that the concept plan, if that could be closed out at the next meeting, that would be desirable. Under this scenario, what's the likelihood that the concept plan is closed out at the next meeting on the 31st? So that you folks will then move on to your next level of investigation and to start your heavy duty engineering cost. Because I'm not sure that, that if it goes on, it has to end at some point. So how do you see that playing out?
Well, what I actually, Dave, I did speak to Ron and Laurel about that today. And quite frankly, I made the same point to them, that I said, look, what we don't want to do is just continue on with a concept plan. And that's why I think that with the understanding that we want to concentrate on Zone A and get going up there, I think we could probably come up with a concept plan that might be more realistic in a very short period of time for Zone A. And if everybody's comfortable with it, we can keep moving forward to a formal site plan. Still, trying to come up with some type of a idea or concept plan for the lower section, Zone C. So that this way here, we're not waiting for both to happen at the same time. We'll just present it. And if we have to, we can always amend the petition and bring Zone C in so that we have both phases happening at the same time.
I'm good with that.
I like that.
I do too.
Yeah.
So the motion should be that we're gonna ask that you continue your concept design with all residential in Zone A, but you can continue evaluating Zone C for other uses.
Correct.
Get that?
That would be
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
Did you get that, Tamika?
I did. Now I just need someone to make a motion.
I
Or
did.
so
I
moved.
just made it.
Dick,
made
you're
the
gonna do
motion.
it?
I
Second.
make that motion.
Okay, Dick made the motion.
I'll
Second.
second it.
Nope, go ahead.
Oh, well,
Fran seconded it.
all right.
Any further discussion? All
No.
in favor? All in
Van
favor?
Reed, yes.
Steiner, aye.
Susie, I.
Aye.
That's the eye.
Narwhal, aye.
Sullivan, aye. Amen. Hallelujah. I'm sorry it took that long to get to there, but I
No,
think,
that was,
no, it's
that was
good
worth
discussion.
it. That was good.
Yep, it's
So
good
Peter,
discussion.
Peter, you'll have that in the morning?
How about early afternoon?
All right, close the business. We'll do COB.
Okay, is there anything else anybody wants to discuss in regards to Harbor Classic Homes?
Yes.
Go right ahead.
Who's gonna own the trails? You know, part of it is gonna be Rutland, the other part Harbor.
What
According
trails
to
are we
him,
talking about?
around the outside edge of the property with,
Well, again, I think that's part of the definitive plan approval, and that will be decided or agreed upon with the HPDD Review Board and Harbor Classic. I don't think they're anywhere near that yet.
well, I just want to get it out there so they can talk about it as well as us.
Yep. So I guess what you're raising a concern that you want to make sure that we have a, whatever it is, a walking buffer around the perimeter of the property.
That is correct.
Because I mean, based on what they're doing now, well, at least down where the solar is, they're nowhere near that. Perhaps up along the school line, they might be, but I'm sure that can be worked out with the additional land.
Yeah.
You understand what we're saying there, Peter?
Yes, I do. Yep.
Okay. Anything else?
The only thing, Mike, I wanted to ask is, since we're still keeping lot 1 in play, and I know Peter's gonna have to do some A&Rs, has it been decided, or is the HPDD what we're gonna do with that 3-foot buffer? Because their concept plan last night excluded that and basically came up with 2 lots. Is that what we're gonna continue down the road to?
Peter, I'll let you answer that.
My understanding is that that makes the most sense, because I think the town wants to have the ability to control that strip.
Okay, great, thanks.
Anything else? Dave? Yep. Anything else?
I'm all set, thank you. So hopefully, with respect to the HPDD continued hearing on the 31st, I assume you'll have your plan submitted well in advance of that for evaluation and circulation?
Yep, absolutely.
Good, thank you.
Okay, Tamika, could I ask a favor of you?
Absolutely.
As soon as you can get me a copy of that motion that was made, could you get it to me so that I can put it in the form of a letter to
Mr.
Peter
Benedict?
and to Sharon that this is what we've agreed to?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Okay, if there's no other business with Harbor Classic Homes, you folks, I'm sure you have nothing else to do and you'd love to stay with us. But we appreciate you very much coming and, you know, your input.
Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate the feedback as well. Have a good night.
Peter, you know, I just want to remind you, we talked about this today. You know, you told me how pleased you were with the open lines of communication we've got and how we're working through this. Make sure it stays that way. You've got my cell number. Anytime before 11 at night and after 6 in the morning, I'm available.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
just so you know, Dave George has been very helpful and very responsive through the whole process. He's always accessible to me, and we appreciate that.
All right, so now he
Not
wants a
only
raise from the planning board. I see where this is going.
Not only accessible to you, he's accessible to me too, which I very much appreciate because he gives me great guidance.
Thank you all. Have a good night. Have a
You
good
too.
weekend.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Good night, Peter.
Good evening.
Oh, I
Good night.
didn't
Thank
know
you.
Laurel was here. Good night, Laurel.
Good night.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good night, Mike.
Good night. Who was that? Oh, Laurel. Okay, good night. Okay, so now that we beat that to death, folks, next item of business I have on the agenda is the HPDD athletic fields inquiry. I don't have the dates in front of me because I've got so much paperwork here now, but I'm gonna say 2.5 weeks ago, I got, well, I guess maybe I got contacted by someone in the town hall asking whether they could give my phone number out. It was actually February 18th. Could they give my phone number out to someone who was interested in possibly building 2 Major League Baseball fields in the town of Rutland, specifically at the Rutland Heights site? Of course, I told them yes. I had a phone call from them on the 26th of February where I had a lengthy discussion with the gentleman. I explained to him that as it comes to the Hpdd property, because we have contractual obligations already made, that it didn't seem likely that it was going to be a fit at the Heights property. I encouraged him to go up to the site and look at it, which he did, and then call me back, and he thought perhaps the top of the hill he might be able to make work. But I then again reminded him that we, had contracts on that. So I then, again, someone's talking. Are they talking to me? Sorry. So I was out of town during this phone conversation and driving. I asked him to send me some information, and I told him that I would do whatever I could to look for additional property in town. And I have not gotten that. And in the meantime, I did my best to schedule a meeting as quickly as I could. As you folks know, I didn't look back at the date, but I think it was the 2nd or 3rd of March. I initiated trying to set up a meeting schedule of our board so that we could discuss all of these things. And this is the earliest possible date we could do that. So to that point, my thought was that we ask one of you lovely ladies or gentlemen whether they would be interested in head manning this from the RDIC standpoint and working with what I now know as Dave and Ron and assist them in any way that we can. Is there anyone interested in doing that?
How many acres involved?
They need 10 to 12 acres. And it would be, a fully lit, nighttime activities, daytime activities. They need, I think, I never saw a plan, but I hear rumor they need parking for 100 cars. I don't know the details. If anybody else does, feel free to speak.
And
Mike,
all that is
can
gonna
I-
be flat.
Well, obviously it's gonna be flat enough to put baseball fields on.
Mike,
go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
I was gonna ask, who
Yep.
in the town, who in the town called you to ask that question about your phone number?
The town clerk's office. They contacted the town clerk's office, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I honestly, Tim, I don't know that. I don't know whether they.
My frustration with the town, and this goes to Dave, is that I'm looking at a town planner right now. If the town planner doesn't get involved, I'm just frustrated because, I mean, it's not like Dave just showed up on the doorstep. And I know I'm not directing at you, Mike. I'm frustrated with my town right now because why call you? The town planner should be the one getting the call, then distributing it. That's my frustration right now.
If I could just jump in real quick on that. So, however this came to be, we did have a meeting with these folks today. We reviewed several properties, including the Heights. It's part of the planning in association with DPW, and the town administrator is taking the lead on this. It's uncertain whether the Heights, it's most likely that the Heights is not the best location, given what the demands are for what this entity is looking for.
Well, Dave, can I interrupt you for 1 minute?
Sure.
You say it's not the best location. It's not a viable location, given.
It's not a viable location. Thanks for the clarification. Yes.
Okay,
Because of the wetlands issues for the DCR 200 and 400 foot buffer zones. Because once you take those buffer zones out, and given the fields that they're looking to install, there would not appear to be enough area to accommodate parking, a loop road around it, places for lights and so forth. So I don't know if you need someone from the RDIC to be involved at this point, but that does not seem to be a candidate location any longer.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Mike, who did you talk to in this, or who had called you, or who did you converse with on this?
The town clerk's office called me and asked whether they could give my name out. Excuse me.
No, I'm not with that. No, I meant with this baseball or this the organization that's affiliated with the Red Sox and.
Well, the gentleman called me.
I know. I'm asking you, who was he? What's his name?
Oh, his name is Mike Novia.
Okay. All right. That's what okay. And did you discuss with him at any point that they're just, that the town or you or RDIC was not interested in this project at all?
Absolutely not. I know that was reported at the most recent selectmen's meeting, but that's.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing, and that's been coming out of Mike's mouth. So someone is lying, and I was really taken back that if that was the case, because this seems like it would be an excellent project for us to be looking at. So
let me make it crystal clear, like I tried to at the selectmen's meeting the other night. I did make it clear to him that based on our current contractual obligations at the hospital, and given the wetland issues on Zone B, that I did not feel as though there was an opportunity at the Hpdd site. Beyond that, there was no discouragement. If that's discouragement, then I guess I did.
And you didn't say that Rutland, or there's no interest from Rutland at all at this?
Absolutely. Why would I do that?
I'm asking you that because that's what I've been hearing. And I am because there are other possibilities in this town, and it is a wonderful thing to do for the Little League and for the soccer. And I think it would be an excellent way for us to look at, a serious look at. So
I'm curious, who are you hearing this from?
I'm hearing it from the youth, Little League people, parents. It's all around town. And what I've heard was that it was not the dates. It was a month ago they approached you. And my concern is that we didn't know about this. And that's what I'm presenting to the board, us right now, that I'm hearing that you got wind of this a month ago.
I have the email in front of me, written from the town clerk, saying.
And you said February 18?
That is correct.
Wow.
And the phone conversation that I had with the gentleman was on February 26th. And I'm absolutely positive of that because it was someone in my family's birthday and I was out of town with her celebrating.
All right.
So whoever's giving you that information is either misrepresenting the facts or doesn't understand them.
No, my point is I want this board or this town to be as proactive and open to everything as far as revenue for the town and also for creative ideas to make things happen. And I want us as a committee to be proactive and make it open and find a way for things to happen. So when I heard this, I was pretty upset. And then when I saw what happened, I just want to get the information correct because.
Yeah, and I think we do need to get the information correct because Little League has come to our committee before. And they know.
Michelle, I can't.
Michelle, you're breaking up a bit.
Yeah.
I'm breaking up.
Sorry.
So, can you hear me now? I don't know.
No, you're all.
You sound like you have a squawk box on.
Yeah.
Oh. Eric, my audio is messy again.
It sounds pretty funky.
Yes. Can I leave and come back?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, Franz, let me just.
No, I would like to speak though.
Yeah, no, you're happy to come back and speak whenever you'd like. I want to make it crystal clear again. I gave you the dates. That's what they are. I conveyed the conversation that I had with you. I tried to explain this to the selectmen at their meeting on Monday night, but was not allowed to do so. So that perhaps is exacerbating the problem. You know, had I been able to clear it up Monday night, maybe all of this scuttlebutt wouldn't be happening on social media.
Easter.
Anything else, Franz?
No, I that was my point. I just want us to really see to try to work with these people. I think it's a great opportunity for the town. I was shocked at what I was hearing. So I'm glad we're talking about it now.
Well,
Yeah.
Franz, you know me pretty well. I would expect you would be shocked if you heard that I was discouraging someone from coming to town. I mean, I certainly supported your
Well,
basketball.
you and I have different viewpoints of what's good for the town. I mean, and we've butt heads many times before,
Sure.
but I want to be open with these people. I mean, I want to be inviting, and I want to see if we can make something work. That's my point.
Yeah.
Kind of like we are with Harbor Classic Homes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
How about Top of Wheeler
Couldn't agree with
Road?
you more.
Is this better?
Ah,
Yeah,
perfect.
there you go.
Okay, sorry about that. So my concern about trash talking around town from the Little League came to us a couple years ago, and we invited them. They actually came to an RDIC meeting and presented their ideas to the RDIC. So I don't know. I don't understand where the disconnect would be if Little League parents are complaining right now because they knew the process when, especially about the property at Rutland Heights. They've already talked to us about it. We went on a site walk with them. And so I don't understand why all of a sudden they wouldn't know who to contact. I guess that's my concern.
No, it's not the Little League, Michelle. It was basically a subdivision of the Red Sox with that he has a facility in, if I'm not mistaken, Leicester.
Leicester, that's correct.
No,
And
but I guess,
so-
but I thought I specifically heard Fran say, like, people, like all the Little League parents around town
No,
are
what-
upset
what-
about this.
Their
I-
kids
what-
play in that league.
Pardon?
What's so good about this is that the financially what they want to do will benefit the Little League, the soccer, the two big youth programs in this town. And
Right, and the two big youth programs, the Little League and soccer came to us together like a couple of years
I
ago.
understand that, but what
I don't
everyone's
understand-
so excited
Hang
about
on,
this.
hang on, one at a time. One at a
All
time.
What I don't understand is why all of a sudden, there's something about this doesn't smell right to me because they know exactly where to go. They've come to us before. So even if the parents, if the Woo Sox were talking to the Little League or the soccer leagues, those people know where to go because they've walked the site with us already.
What the bottom line is, the people have been talking about that this company had approached Mike and Mike had basically said, we're not interested. And that's the problem. That's what I'm upset with. And it's been spread around town and they're all talking about it, that there's an opportunity that someone's coming in that's a legit, their official affiliation with the Red Sox and with the Woo Sox. And they're all excited. And what's been going on is that they said that Mike had turned them down. So I'm asking questions. And Mike answered me with the dates and timelines he did, but I'm getting different stuff. So I mean, that's my problem. I just don't want to be like this. That's all.
No,
And
but
wanna
we
be
can't
open.
control what other people say either.
Well, no, but Michelle, to his point, if that's the perception, that's a problem that we need to resolve.
Yes.
But Franz, if you want to see the documentation, I'm happy to provide it to you. I mean,
It's fine. Mike, you know me, I'm pretty upfront and I'll tell you to your face. So, but I'm also expressing, this is what I've heard. This is what's been presented to the town officials. I mean, that's what happened Monday. So, I mean, there are people upset over this because, and you said a perception that we're not interested in something like that. And that's just not true. I mean, I was excited when I heard it.
the problem is that the perception has been generated by the fact that the issue was raised in the same manner you're bringing it up at the selectmen's meeting by the Board of Selectmen. And when I tried to explain what I'm explaining to you now, I was not allowed to do it. So perhaps I was able, if I had been able to do that, it might have eliminated all of this social media stuff. So I don't do social media. So anyone here who would like to go to social media and tell them that they're mistaken, I'd welcome it.
Mike, through you, I wanted to say something to David, and so he can talk to his boss. I think when opportunities come up like this, the town departments, I don't care who it is, clerk, assessor, they need to know that David George is the guy to go to. And that's something Ron San Angelo's got to get out of the thing, because the clerk shouldn't have been calling you to ask to have your number out. It should have went to David and handled. And Mike, I'm not accusing you or blaming you for anything. That's a town problem that has got to be solved at the top. And that's I guess I want to make the comment to Dave. If you need me to say something to Ron, I have no problem, but I'm just frustrated with the process right now.
I agree with you, Tim.
And you start looking around town here, town land, and you're not gonna find flat land to speak of for this kind of a thing.
Well, to that point, Dick, that what I heard from these people, they're willing to do an awful lot. So I'm a firm believer where there's a will, there's a way. So, I mean, they were interested in Rutland. So my point is we got to be interested in them.
If I could, just a couple of quick things to jump in. So I will say first off that not all economic development or interests come through the planning office, which is just the nature of the beast, and that's okay. Some things go directly to the town administrator, and then, you know, he brings people in as he needs to. So that's not untypical. I will say, Fran, that the meeting was a fruitful meeting today.
That's good.
Discussion.
Good.
There is still bona fide real interest in pursuing the matter further. I think it's probably premature to get into any more particulars at this point, but they did not walk away with a no. They walked away with some possibilities, and it was open for further discussions. And I think that we acknowledge that there is a strong willingness on the town side to be involved with this, if it's the right location, so forth and so on. Obviously, a lot of due diligence needs to be done, but it was a good discussion. And coming from them, what they said to us, which I like to hear, was that, you know, they were glad that the town was open to the discussion, unlike other municipalities where it may not be such a smooth process, even to have a conversation in the first place. So we are trying to move that in the right direction. It's not untypical for, you know, matters to come to the, you know, to the town administrator first and then get farmed out to various departments. You know, with a small operation like this, you know, things happen in different ways.
Okay.
So Franz, just my last point is, if you think you're frustrated, imagine how frustrated I am being lambasted in social media for something that I didn't do.
And you know, we just put out and let the, you know, parents know that we didn't just brush them off. That's all. I'm trying to get to the core of everything, which that's exactly what we're doing. And yep. You explained yourself and Dave and I think this could be great. And it might not work out, but I'd love to give it a hell of a try.
Fran.
Yep.
Take a look at the top of Wheeler Road. They were going to put a solar field up there. They backed out of that one.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know how many acres are up there. It's somewhat flat. Have them take a look at that. It's a question of car parking and whether or not they can put any buildings.
I mean, it's what, as far as I've and the coaches and people I've called, I mean, this is a legit. These are legit people. So, and they've got, like I said, affiliation with the Red Sox and the Woo Sox, and they want to do something. And that's all. I just want, and so far we're getting things done, and I'll be the first to say someone's doing a great job, but I'll also say to you or anyone else, this is not right. and it's wrong or what you're doing. So I just want to make this, and this is an important thing that we're talking right now, and I'm glad we are discussing it.
Thanks,
Mike
Franz.
Sullivan.
Appreciate it.
Mike Sullivan, I've got to leave. I have another meeting in 15 minutes and I want to eat supper first.
You have to eat?
Yeah.
Thank you, Dick.
Okay.
Mike, this is Tim.
Well, Tim, just 1 second before Dick runs away. Dick, did you have anything else you wanted to add? I mean, we still have open discussion on the HPDD site. Is there anything else just before you run away that you'd like to, for either discuss or that we discuss?
No, I think right now, one of the things I want to talk to Dave is about future traffic and trying to get that complete street made up by the school, because you're going to have an awful lot of traffic trying to get to the school and get to the places, you know, the Harbor homes.
Correct.
Got a lot of traffic going on. All right, that's it. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good
Good
night.
night. Good night.
Tim?
I just was gonna say, Mike, number 7, I think we just covered it with the other opportunities and with Harbor Classic Homes and moving stuff around. So I only put it on there so we could talk about other opportunities, and I don't think there's any right now. So if we want to scratch 7, I'm good.
Okay.
Can I
Michelle?
just make another point? One of the things that was brought up, I know Tim was there, but Fran and Jim weren't there last night at the meeting with the HPDD review board.
Oh,
The
I was there.
concept-
I
Oh,
was
Fran
there.
was there, but not
Yeah.
Jim and
I was not
Bonnie.
there.
Yeah.
The so the concept plan that Tamika showed us, and she's going to send you guys a copy of it. They only have one road going into all of those houses right now,
That's a
and it
good
was brought
point.
up that there should be 2 roads to have the 2
I
egresses there.
think you, either you or Chris brought that up with with only one access, which I think is a good point, needing another access.
Yeah, I think Mike
Yeah.
brought it up, but yes, but yes, so just when you look at that, and they did explicitly say, even though the bottom part came out on Maple Ave, they know that they had to fix that, but they hadn't had time to change it. But now that lower lot is kind of being changed up anyway, but they know that they can't go out onto Maple Ave. So they did
Right.
acknowledge that last night as well. So I just
Michelle-
wanted to kind of keep you guys in the loop as to some of the other stuff that we talked about last night.
Michelle, Mike knows, and from being planning and Dick and I, they cannot have a dead end road that exceeds 1,000 feet. So they're gonna have to come up with another plan of how to handle that. Because that's over 1,000 feet, all that road put together.
Right, and if they can build on that little lower part, like there was a little lower part in the front by the existing roadway that they could build on and maybe have it loop right into that existing lower road. I don't know.
Yeah, because Jim said they could, inside of that 400 feet zone, they can build. It's just the 200 they can't touch.
Right.
We're getting into a design discussion here that should be responsibility of the HPDD review board.
I'm reporting back.
Okay. Anybody else, any thoughts, questions, comments?
No.
I'm very pleased to see that we have 2 selectmen, and I think at one point we had 3 selectmen here, which is the first in the history of the RDIC. So thank you very much for attending. Do you have any comments or questions or concerns? Hearing none.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Van Ree, aye.
Steiner, aye.
Narwhal, aye.
Susie, aye.
Sullivan, aye.